Hello, everyone. Christina Werner here with day 4 of my Valentine's Day card series for 2022. Can't believe we're already in 2022. Still not over it. In today's card video, I'm going to be using the Painted Shapes stamp set from Concord and Ninth, and I'm going to use it for a technique that I like to call ink painting. Super easy. Anyone can do it. And I'm pairing it with the Stained Glass Love stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. I'm kind of hovering that stamp over the heart, trying to get a kind of an idea in my head where I want this heart placed on my final card design. I am using 5x7 cardstock here. Eventually I will cut it down, but for now it's 5x7 Neenah Classic Crest Solar White cardstock. This is the 80-pound version, actually. And I'm picking out 4 different colors of ink cubes from Concord and Ninth. I like to use ink cubes for this because it's a whole lot easier to maneuver the little tiny cube and kind of paint the stamp. So the first thing you do with ink stamping is you want to make sure that you can see the stamp that you're working with and what color, where it's applied. So I like to put a piece of white paper underneath the door of my MISTI. And then I'm going to be stamping this heart image over and over again and never moving it. I just want to make sure every time I stamp, I double check and make sure that cardstock is in the corner of my MISTI. I started with the color Ballet Slippers, and now I've gone to Honeysuckle. Now in the end, really you're only going to see 2 colors because this Honeysuckle and the Cranberry color that I'll use here in a minute kind of overwhelm the other 2 lighter colors. I'm totally okay with it because I really like how it turned out, but I think if I was to make this card again, I would just skip the Ballet Slippers and the Sea Glass and only use Honeysuckle and Cranberry. Such great colors for Valentine's Day. So as you can see, I didn't clean off the stamp. I just go right in with the next color, and that helps me get sort of a mixed color effect and a layering effect with all the colors. It's very abstract, and it really is reminiscent of the look you can get with Gelly Press. That I really love Gelly Press. I love that technique, but I find this almost a little bit more approachable because I can just use like regular ink and I can see where the patches of color are being applied and I know how it's going to turn out. For those of us who are a little bit more of, control lovers, I don't want to say control freak, but you know what I mean. This technique works well. So I'm adding more of that sea glass. I'm kind of at this point hoping I'm going to get more of that sea glass color in there, but I realized that I just don't like the look of it. I'm going to lean in heavy to the pink and red at this point. So I'm adding more of that honeysuckle because it kind of got lost. So I'm adding more of that pink in there, and it's going to cover up most of that sea glass there on the left. And then I'm going to come back in with more of the cranberry. I've sped up the video a little bit since I kind of futzed around with all of this and tried to take my time, figure out where I wanted the colors placed. But in the end, I end up with this really interesting and abstract red and pink heart that I think looks absolutely amazing. I am planning to do some heat embossing over the top of the heart, so I want to make sure that the heart is completely dry. So I'm going to do some test runs with some embossing powder without stamping to make sure that this area is completely dry. So I've hit it with the heat tool to speed up the drying. I've also used my powder tool and applied some powder on top, just trying to get as much of a dry, clean area as possible. And then I tested it with some embossing powder. This is Gilded Embossing Powder from Brutus Monroe. And as you can see, it sticks to that heart. I'm so glad I tested this because it is not ready for embossing and stamping on top. So I swept off all of that powder using a large dry paintbrush. And I'm going to repeat those steps again. I'm going to heat it with my heat tool, trying to speed along the drying. And I also used my powder tool. I'm going to test it one more time. Now this second test works pretty well. I can tell it's just a little bit of powder sticking around, so I made sure to use my powder tool, and now I'm safe to start stamping. So here's where things go a little awry. I'm going to pull this stamp off the stamp sheet, and it rips right as I'm pulling it off. And you can tell I'm sitting here kind of like, what just happened? Did that really just happen? Christina, it sure did. It happened. This stamp was so stuck to the sheet that it was hard to pull off, and it tore in half. So I was concerned that maybe it wouldn't be usable anymore, but I decided, you know what, it kind of sticks right back together. Let's go ahead and let's proceed. Let's try it out. Why not? This thing is kind of abstract anyway, so if it didn't work out, it would totally be okay. So I'm going to run my powder tool over this entire area one more time just to give it the best shot at an awesome embossing experience. And then I'm going to ink up my stamp with an embossing ink. Now, when I do embossing, I have used Versamark ink for years. It's my go-to. It's never failed me, and it's great for heat embossing because it stays sticky for quite some time. It takes a lot of time to dry, actually, so it's great for embossing. Now, at this point, I was skeptical about that torn stamp. I didn't know if it would pull through and look okay, especially because I really didn't take a lot of time piecing it back together. But as I apply the embossing powder in this clip here, you'll see that it matched up really well. You can't even tell that the stamp was damaged. So I really think I lucked out that nothing was even visibly wrong with the image itself. It looks practically perfect. So as I removed it from my MISTI, I was very careful and I pulled it off altogether and it stayed stuck together. I was really, really surprised. And then I put it on my stamp sheet. It stayed together as well. I'm also using Simon's Tons of Hearts stamp set to add a bunch of little hearts around the main greeting area. I stamped them in groups. So this first group of 3, I stamped them all at once and then applied the embossing powder and hit it with the heat tool. And then for more hearts down at the bottom, I positioned all of those and then applied the embossing powder and heat set those as well. To finish off the greeting for my card, I took one of the very, very small lines of text from the Stained Glass Love stamp set that says Valentine's Day, and I heat embossed that in alabaster embossing powder on black cardstock. So it says Happy Valentine's Day all in one. I trimmed down my black greeting using a mini trimmer from Tim Holtz. And then I have this black card base here, and it's 5x7, and I cut down my stamped area to almost a square. It's actually, I think it ended up being about 5x5 1/4, or maybe 4 3/4 by 5 1/4, something like that. So when I place it on my card base, which was actually already pre-made to 5x7, all I have to do is take a T-square ruler and a knife and just cut off a little bit off the edge. So the finished card is actually 5 inches tall by about 5.5 wide. I placed my secondary greeting on some foam tape and put that in place with some tweezers. And then I grabbed a white Jelly Roll pen. This is a number 10 bold pen, and just put a dashed line along the outer edge. I just think that finishes off the card. So that's the card for today, for day 4 of the Valentine's Day card series. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will be back tomorrow live here on YouTube at 6 p.m. Mountain Time if you'd like to join in. We're going to be creating another Valentine's Day card. So I hope you'll join me, and until then, thanks so much for watching.